So they brought the press, and that's their big weapon. The big weapon is the press, which creates the illusion that things are terrible. Oh my God, our society is falling apart. Civil society is collapsing. Look around you. Is it in your town? Is it collapsing? No, it's just on the coast where the news is working its will, and everywhere where people fall for the crisis in the press. There's no crisis there's not even a crisis at the border. There's confusion, there's chaos. There's too long that the legislature has left this going. But right this minute, it just needs to be fixed. That's all that's happening. But because Trump won't stand down, the people are becoming mobsters. And when I say mobsters, I mean people who join together in a mob and terrorize people and encourage each other to do wrong. Sarah Sanders walks into the Red Hen restaurant in Lexington, Virginia, and they all got together and took a vote and told her she had to leave. Now, you'll notice, by the way, that Sarah Sanders was ready to pay for her meal, unlike the trespassers who were at Starbucks. She didn't defy the police when they asked her to leave. It didn't happen, and the police didn't have to come. Like the trespassers at Starbucks defied the police. But somehow, when the trespassers at Starbucks were ejected, that was a racial incident. This is not an incident of bigotry. When the guy at the Masterpiece Cake Shop said, you know what, I cannot lend my artistry to a gay wedding, that was a travesty. But throwing a woman out because she works for the administration, she's a public servant, that's fine. And it's all this bullying of women. I mean, the Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen was forced out of the Mexican restaurant, right? We saw that. This is another one. Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi went to see the documentary about Mr. Rogers that's come out. Mr. Rogers, who was what would you call him, the ambassador of civility, right? He was a guy who would talk about bullying, who would talk about treating people properly while she's standing online. Listen to her description of what happened to her.
And a woman approaches me in the ticket line and starts screaming that I was personally ripping babies out of the arms of mothers. And they were videoing me. And I said, I'm glad you're videoing this because I've never agreed with separating the mothers and the babies. And I said, Congress has to act on this matter. And they said, no, it's you. These babies are being kept. And then because I was talking normally to them, they didn't know what to do. So then 3 huge guys came up and started probably an inch from my face, screaming at me every word in the book, cursing as loud as they could. So then my trooper came up, and my boyfriend and I got our tickets, we're headed in, and then they ran in and circled me where I could not get into the theater. They stopped me. So he came up then and stopped them. So then we went in the theater, thought it was diffused. We're up getting popcorn at the concession stand, and they came up again, just every curse word in the book. And they said to him, hey, Blue Eyes, come on, aren't you going to protect her? Using a lot of other words, too.
So they're trying to start a fight with her boyfriend. They're terrorizing this woman. A mob is terrorizing this public servant, this lady. They're surrounding her, they're spitting on her, they're cursing at her, okay? And they think they're the good guys. That's the amazing thing. That is the magic of leftism. The black magic of leftism is that it allows you to think you're the good guys while you're wearing a ski mask and hitting somebody on the head with a stick because he wants to make a speech. The black magic of leftism is that it allows you to think that you're a good person while you're terrifying and terrorizing a young woman. Luckily, I mean, there are these lunatics out there trying to incite this kind of violence, but luckily none of them is like an elected official. Oh, wait, Maxine Waters, this woman really needs to be taken out of Congress, possibly in a straitjacket. Here is she's giving a speech to people, and listen to them cheering for what she says. She is encouraging this kind of mob violence and terror. And by the way, left-wingers, remember, when you start to play by these rules, the other side starts playing by them too, and it's not going to be pretty. But listen, this is Maxine Waters. This is an unbelievably irresponsible moment by someone elected to Congress.
Already, you have members of your cabinet that have been booed out of restaurants, who have protesters taking up at their house, who's saying no peace, no sleep. No peace, no sleep. And guess what? We're going to win this battle because while you try and quote the Bible, Jeff Sessions and others, you really don't know the Bible. God is on our side. on the side of the children, on the side of what's right, on the side of what's honorable, on the side of understanding that if we can't protect the children, we can't protect anybody. And so let's stay the course. Let's make sure we show up wherever we have to show up. And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
Yeah, that's what Jesus preached, right? If you see someone who disagrees, if thou seest someone who disagrees, that's the honorable thing that Jesus preached. If thou seest someone with whom you have a political disagreement, terrorize them and surround them in a mob. And it is, I swear, the black magic of leftism that these people think they're the good guys. They are cheering this. They're sitting there cheering this lunatic who shouldn't be in Congress anyway, should really be in a padded cell. And they're cheering, and they think they're the good guys. It is a wonder. I mean, you know, Peter Fonda did this thing. All this stuff in Hollywood where he had that tweet where he said we should rip Barron Trump from his mother's arms and put him in a cage with pedophiles and see if mother will stand up against the giant a-hole she is married to. He apologized to that after, like, I assume he sobered up. He apologized for that. But still, I mean, when those words come out of your mouth, how do you still, you know, I always say anger is the devil's cocaine. And what I mean by that is it makes you think you're being righteous because you feel this righteous anger. This is what's happening to them. And here's the key thing. Because Trump has an expertise, he has a power to make them expose themselves for who they are slowly, slowly coming around to show that it's not Trump they hate. It's you. When Hillary Clinton came out and talked about the deplorables, and that really did help for her to lose the election, when she attacked the voters, she was speaking for the media. She was speaking for Hollywood. She really was. I mean, take a look at this. Here's Rob Reiner, Mr. Hollywood, right? Big, powerful Hollywood director, and his wife. They're talking to Joy Reid. Listen who he's blaming here. It's not Trump they hate. It's you.
Let's cut to the chase. This is about racism. This is pure and simple racism. That's all this is. He's hoping that the people who support him will be ginned up and running to the polls to make sure that brown people don't come into America. That's exactly what's going on here.
The political people on his team believe that the base of the Republican Party will be more moved by separating brown children and parents than they will, for instance, by his tax cut. Because that's not what they're selling. They're telling him, no, this is the issue that makes you look strong.
Because I hate to repeat what he just said, but this is based on racism, period, as they like to say. That's all this is. They don't want more brown people coming into this country and taking their jobs. Immigration is lower than it's ever been. There's no crisis at the border, and it's just an inhumane, unconscionable act that they did by separating children. And I have to tell you, my mother was in Auschwitz. She got separated from her entire family, lost her entire family. I never thought I would live to see something like that, particularly in this country, ever again in my lifetime.
That's amazing. I can't think of any other reason you might want to enforce the laws at your border. I can't. It's just about brown, because we don't have any brown people in America. You know, we want to keep this as a lily white country, and you know, what the hell is she talking about? You know, what country is she in? What imaginary land is she in? But it's you and Joe Scarborough and Donnie. I don't even know. Donnie Deutsch is like an ad executive. Why is he a commentator? Did I miss something where he became an expert in something? Anyway, listen to this conversation on Morning Joe. And I know it's MSNBC. I don't like to pick on them because they're an openly left-wing station. But I just want to show that it's not Trump they're hating on. It is you. It is us. It is the deplorables. Listen to this.
We can no longer say Trump's the bad guy. If you vote for Trump, you're the bad guy. Mm-hmm. If you vote for Trump, you are ripping children from parents' arms. The mistake that we've made in the past is look at that bad guy over there, look at that bad guy. What the Democrats have to do is make the next election a referendum on not who Trump is, but who you are. And that's the big difference. You can no longer now as a voter, because it's now not about taxes. It's not even about some abstract term of immigration or nationalism. If you vote for Trump, then you, the voter, you, not Donald Trump, are standing at the border like Nazis going, you here, you here. And I think we now have to flip it. And it's a given the evilness of Donald Trump. But if you vote, you can no longer separate yourself. You can't say, well, he's okay, but. And I think that gymnastics and I think that jujitsu has to happen.
He's been openly racist, just like we said back in December of 2015, openly racist. And if you support him, then you're supporting that and you are that. It's that simple.
So you see the logic of this, right? The logic of this is this. It's because there can be no other reason to enforce the law except racism. There can be no other reason to want your borders to be secure except racism. It is perfectly reasonable to surround women in movie theaters and gas stations, as Maxine Waters says, in restaurants, and bully them out of those places if they're in the cabinet. But it's not just them, right? Because if you voted for them, then you're complicit. So now it's all right to do this stuff to you as well. You can see where this is going. Somebody's going to get hurt, and then it's going to be, oh, I don't know why. It's really Trump's fault. He inspired. It's really his fault. It's going to be their fault. They are working this up to a moment of violence, and it's not going to be pretty because, believe me, some of us are perfectly willing and able to fight back. And once they start that fight, they are not going to like it. And I'm not going to like it either. I do not want to see this country at that kind of odds. The fact is, things are going well. Trump is doing a good job. I've said all my complaints about Trump. I'm not going to go through them again, but Trump is doing a good job. He's exhibiting leadership. He is breaking things up a little bit. He's changing things. I'm still on the fence about what he's doing with trade because I want to see where it goes. I want to see how much of it is negotiation. But this country is doing better than it has done in a long, long time. And these guys are angry because their policy, because they went through 8 years of failure with their king, their God, their Messiah, and it didn't work. They lied to us. They let him corrupt the government. And now this new guy's coming in and he's doing all this stuff they hate, and it's working. And so no wonder they're screaming and yelling, but calling for violence against people and attacking the voters instead of the official that you dislike. It really is disgusting. And I just have to add this one thing, and then we're going to get to Michael Knowles about this Harvard stuff. This Time magazine cover, so classic, so typical. It's all about the narrative. They put up this magazine, little kid crying, Donald Trump looking down at her, and it says, "Welcome to America." It's a big red splash cover. Turns out the little girl was from Honduras. Her mother abandoned her family, carried her illegally across the border. She wasn't separated. The whole story was fake. The whole story was fake. And they have Time magazine's editor-in-chief, Edward Felsenthal. He defends it. He says, yeah, well, it's the old story. The facts were wrong, but the narrative was right. I mean, like I said, I'm a novelist. For me, I can have the facts wrong and the narrative right. If you're a journalist, the facts are the narrative. The facts determine the narrative. It's not the other way around. Listen to this guy tie himself in knots of dishonesty, defending what was just an entire lie, a visual lie that his magazine, Time magazine, told.
We chose the photo because this little girl became the face of this story on front pages and home pages and TV screens
but
and
maybe
Facebook
she
feeds.
shouldn't have been the face of this story if she wasn't separated from her mom.
Well, as John just said and has said all along, none of us in the media who used the photo knew what had happened to the girl after this precise moment. And I actually think part of the power of the image is that unknown. This was a girl who's coming to America, has just completed one terrifying journey, and whatever its contours, whatever happens to her, faces another very frightening journey as well.
But by Monday of this week, we knew that she hadn't been separated from her mom. In fact, on Tuesday, you all issued a correction to a web story about that.
I don't believe the case. We did make an error, which obviously I regret and hate making errors anytime.
Sure.
But we made an error on a web story early in the week, not part of the cover package, in which we said that the mother had been separated, and we quickly and transparently corrected that. We didn't know, nobody using this photo knew on Monday or Tuesday that they had not been separated.
Well, we knew, according to the government, they had not been separated.
We just knew there was a crying child, and anywhere a child cries, Donald Trump, it gets the blame. I mean, that's basically it is. The logic it burns. The logic here is so amazing because If the narrative sets the story, then the facts can't penetrate these guys. Even after the facts, even after they find out, oh, we got the story wrong, no apology, nothing. It's like, we know what the narrative is, but I don't need no stinking facts. We don't need no stinking facts. We put up cover to attacks Trump. That's what these guys are doing. And they cannot see it themselves. It is really wonderful. It is the black magic of leftism that they can think they're the good guys while lying to their audience. It is just an amazing thing.